Hi, everybody. We're actually, the way that this system works, we have no idea if anybody's tuned in for this part of the meeting. It's the last point of the day. Um, but if you are out there, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for coming on to signing up for the meeting. Um, there's more than 1,000 people registered for the meeting, so it's really very exciting that there's that much energy around this. And I think you know, we're so lucky that we've got this technology to see this detail into biological systems now. Um, I hope you guys have days similar to mine where it's just like going to Disneyland. The amount of beauty that we can see into biological systems and the amount of detail about how cells are in a state and working together and in a tissue and making development happen and physiology happen that's tissue specific. Um, it's all there, and so the value of this data, it's just extraordinary, and I it's really on us to get the data as useful and informative, as true as possible, and figure out how do we make it really deliver that value to people who are trying to understand systems that not just the basic biology, but as Deanne beautifully talked about this morning, its ability to shine um, light on disease, and what do we have to do to recover um, a healthy state out of disease affected, if it's from external perturbation factors or internal genetic factors, or a combination of the two. I mean, it's all there. It's within our grasp, and um, so how establishing that agenda, learning from where we're at, um, and then make sure we're sharing as much as we're learning as fast as we can, and efficiently as we can. Some of the parts that we all do in working through these data sets is so painful. The annotation and curation, and deciding about when is this technical, when is this an individual level variation. Sometimes that's very important, or when is it just a very clear indication that we've got very important cell type here that must be understood, and that it's going to have a huge influence in the system. Um, all of those. We had just very exciting breakout room with James Briscoe and the we ultimately got to, we'll hear about some of this tomorrow, but I think there's a universal realization that our naming of cells, and the basis of naming of cells is going to, if we don't get converge on that, we're going to be in kind of continuing world of pain, difficulty, and we won't get the synergy between data sets that is there, and um, there's overcoming some of the technical difficulties or differences between what's measured in different platforms on the technical side. Um, all of that's in play. Just stepping back for 1 second about what is development and what's the difference between development and growth phase versus adult terminally differentiated tissue. If you take the point of view of what are the genes, what do we know from genetics that really cause developmental phenotypes? What are the principal developmental phenotypes, and how do they differ from end physiological function phenotypes of given organs and tissues? It's there's a huge enrichment for genes that are about transcriptional control, about morphogenesis, structure formation, and these are area, and particularly in morphogenesis, It's a dynamic process. Are we really seeing the details of the dynamics in the way that we need to? We talked about that in this session and breakout, and that's some of James Briscoe's work. It's beautifully showing that. But doing that at scale in a consistent way and really understanding organ morphogenesis, it's just Visium and spatial omics is not going to be enough. And so, but we don't really know what technologies are going to be enough to give us that, to really see processes in 3D instead of just putting together time shots. And that's probably enough. So there's a lot of what are developmental pathways and how are developmental processes in different biological contexts kind of codified in pathway forms. And as we think more and more about the contexts that occur in different tissue systems and developmental processes, what's the kind of the math, the data model that is going to give us reusable modeling of that are sufficiently contextualized so you really can get the richness of an individual system portrayed in the data. I think it's a very important agenda. So I think that's probably enough. Thank you so much for coming, and we have a tremendous staff behind the HCA that's making this all possible, particularly Christine Schwenk. And so on behalf of my co-organizers, Gary Bader and Deanne Taylor, thank you so much, and see you tomorrow.